Aspect ratio in film refers to the proportional relationship between the width and height of the image on screen. It's a crucial element of filmmaking and film viewing because it influences how the audience perceives the visual composition and the overall cinematic experience. Ranging from widescreen to small, square-like frames, all the way to the large formats like the IMAX aspect ratio for a more immersive theatrical experience. While there are a wide variety of aspect ratios that can be used, most of which for specific artistic choices, today we're going to talk about the most popular aspect ratios used throughout film history, as well as today in the digital age. 4:3 was the standard aspect ratio for films made during the early 20th century and refers to the measurement of one frame in a 35mm film negative. Each frame was the full width of a 3-inch film negative and the height of 4 perforations of the film, which was measured as 4:3 or 1.33 by 1. This is a relatively square format that was also later used for standard definition television. 1.85 by 1 was later conceived to provide a more expansive cinematic experience and to differentiate from standard definition TVs which were on the rise at home. This aspect ratio is often referred to as widescreen and is commonly used for theatrical releases. Directors use this to create a more cinematic feel while still keeping the image relatively compact. As technology improved, new lenses were used for even wider aspect ratios. 2.39 by 1, often rounded to 2.40 by 1, is the common theatrical format starting in 1970. It was popularized by anamorphic lenses that allow filmmakers to squeeze a wide image into a standard frame and then unsqueeze it during projection. These ratios provide a sweeping, panoramic look and enhance the grandeur of the film. Although this aspect ratio was the filmmaker's preferred version for the theater, when sent to the home market, various techniques were used to present this wide format to the home audience on standard 4:3 televisions. Pan and scan was a technique used to crop the image and shift focus to important action. However, this could result in a loss of visual detail as much of the frame was trimmed. Over the years, filmmakers have railed against this approach as it alters the film and loses the integrity of the filmmaker's vision.
Trying to figure out how to tell you the story in the best possible way visually. And then someone else has to come in and cut the edges off of all of that and pan and scan it. So you're not seeing what story we tried to tell you.
Letterboxing is the technique used to preserve the original widescreen aspect ratio, where black bars are present at the top and bottom of the image. Although the original intent of the film is intact, it results in unused space on the screen, which some studios were against early on. 2.76 by 1, also known as Panavision, is an even wider aspect ratio, famously used in films like Ben-Hur from 1959 and in some modern films like Quentin Tarantino's Hateful Eight. Designed to create an almost ultra-wide experience for the viewer, this ratio has been used rarely across film history. However, it is very effective in maximizing the visual impact in large-scale productions. A wide format allows for more horizontal space, which can be used to depict expansive landscapes, large crowds, or to emphasize the scale of a scene. In contrast, a narrower aspect ratio can feel more intimate and can be used to focus attention on characters, objects, or specific emotions. Some directors and cinematographers intentionally use different aspect ratios throughout a film to emphasize specific scenes or moments. For example, the Grand Budapest Hotel uses multiple aspect ratios to present different time periods in the story. In this case, the aspect ratio helps to visually distinguish between the different eras and adds a layer of depth to the narrative. Another example is The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan used the 2.39 by 1 aspect ratio, but switched to the IMAX aspect ratio of 1.43 by 1 to create a sense of grandeur and immersion during specific moments. While most of the aspect ratios discussed so far are based on a 35mm film negative, IMAX uses a 70mm film negative, which greatly enlarges the image. In the digital age, 16:9 or 1.781 became the standard for high-definition televisions and refers to the measurements of pixels on the screen. As the pixel density increases, improving overall picture quality, the aspect ratio stays the same. The 16:9 aspect ratio is now the standard for most modern video content, including television, streaming, and YouTube. In conclusion, aspect ratios play a vital role in how a film communicates visually and emotionally with its audience. By choosing a specific aspect ratio, filmmakers can enhance the storytelling, influence the viewer's perception, and set the tone for the movie. Whether through wide, sweeping landscapes or intimate close-ups, the aspect ratio is a key part of the visual language of cinema.